Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Presents Slasher Party. I'm Sean,
I'm Missy.
and fresh from the graveyard, burying her counterpart, author extraordinaire Jessica Lacy. And Jessica, I'm going to let you explain to the people at home because I just
I
explain,
need
please.
you. I need you to know. I just like waved my arms in the air in triumph because this is technically when we just discussed when this is going to come out. This is technically going to come out after the announcement. So I used to call myself Ivy Tho I. I've been writing under that name since 2018. I've been publishing all of my books independently this entire time, and I wasn't looking for a traditional publisher to work with, but right before Thanksgiving, somebody from Source Books reached out to me, and she had read Taste Like Candy and Taste Like Candy 2 in a weekend and was like, sometimes we work with independent authors. Are you interested? And we had a call, and by January, I had a book deal for 7 books. They're going to read that we've removed all the Ivy books from the internet. Those versions are gone. And then Sourcebooks is going to release Taste Like Candy, Taste Like Candy 2, Mallrats, and Mother Dear, but Mother Dear is getting a title change. I don't know if we're saying what it is yet, but
Okay, that's fair.
the book will be back. It'll just be back under another title. And then there's going to be 3 more. One of those is going to be Taste Like Candy 3. So that's kind of it. I ended up kind of with just this insane deal, and then we also have a deal with Spotify to do Taste Like Candy 2, Mallrats, and Mother Dear on audio. The other three are
Oh,
the other three are not covered in that, but Spotify is going to be producing my audiobooks for those.
oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, did I not tell you that?
No, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And I have they only own the 4, but I have a feeling if it does well, they'll pick up the other 3, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I met I have like my dream agent. His name is Eddie Schneider. He works, I hope I pronounced that. I don't know if it's Snyder or Schneider. He works at my favorite horror author, Grady Hendrix, same agency. And that's wild to me.
That makes so much
Um,
sense to me. When
it
when
does.
you told me
It
that, I was
does.
like, that's match made in heaven.
Yeah, it does. And he understands because my editor is actually not a horror person. And so I don't understand what non-horror people like about my work, but whatever. um, but she's not a horror person, but Eddie gets it. So we have like a thing where we're able to work together to keep everything at the same level that it has been. I wasn't asked to tone anything down. I wasn't asked to change any of the kills. I wasn't asked to do anything like that. So the new Taste Like Candy, it has been re-edited. There's a brand new cover. They let me bring Paul Saharsky, my cover artist, with me. So he's going to be either touching up the old covers or redoing new ones. I think they're going to probably end up redoing them all, but whatever.
Okay.
Um, but the new Taste Like Candy is, you've read it, you've both read it. Um,
Yes.
Yep.
it is, I think it's definitely bloodier. I think
Yes.
it's funnier, meaner, it's
Yes.
meaner, like it's there. 2 brand new kills. I added a new girl to the story, Meg. She's super fun. I named her after my editor. um,
That's funny.
and she's never said anything to me about it, and I've never mentioned it.
It seems a little
That's
bit like
awesome.
something Katie Rose might do.
Exactly. And I've actually, so we have the edit of Mother Dear finished. Mother Dear is going to, I don't Mother, Taste Like Candy. Taste Like Candy is going to be coming out in September 9th of this year. And then Mother Dear is up next. So I've been working on that one. So I've been getting to do Katie Rose, and that's just a lot.
Nice. Yeah, the pre-order is already up on Amazon for
Yes.
the new
Yes.
Taste Like Candy. So you listeners, you heard it here first. Go order that shit.
Yes. It's Taste Like Candy. It's Jessica Lacy, Lacy. Both of it'll come up no matter what. It's just they didn't tell me it was going up, and I had someone reach out to me, like an unrelated person, like, did someone steal your work? Because I was like, thank you for telling me, but it's okay. It's still me.
Oh wow. That's so exciting and like I don't know. I feel like definitely kind of even before meeting you, like following this trajectory since my friend Jesus turned me on to Taste Like Candy and just and that's so funny too because you say writing since 2018. It didn't even dawn on me. I think Jesus originally gave me Taste Like Candy maybe 2019, and I didn't actually read it until I got to Tennessee. So 2022.
It came out in 2020.
Oh,
Yeah.
then it was 2020 or 2021. He got it for me. It's just so cool, like to kind of witness the trajectory. And, I mean, you say Spotify's producing the
Yeah.
audiobooks, and I feel like 6 months to a year, you'll be saying, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I don't know. I'm blanking on director's name, but
Yeah.
somebody's doing the movie, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that this book, because we already know that the book, people love the book. People really do like this book. It's sold thousands of copies already, so we kind of know people like it, but we're
Hmm.
hoping kind of I mean, they're gonna let me market it as old school horror. They're gonna let me, they're gonna do all that kind of stuff. They're comparing it to they want to compare it to Heathers and Saw. Um, it's Scream, but you know it's
Yeah,
it's not torture porn. It's a little graphic, but it's not.
it's not torture porn at all.
It's not torture
Yeah.
porn.
But
Yeah.
it also has this weird, I mean, it's not weird. It's weird for me, and here's why it's weird. So, like right now, Kirsten's been watching a show I would never watch, which is, I mean, I wouldn't watch the original Beverly Hills 90210, but she's watching like the one in, I don't know. The only thing I know is the girl from Excision, Annalyn McCord,
Yeah.
who I know from all these Ricky Bates Jr. movies, playing super weird dark roles is one of the leads in this Beverly Hills 90210 relaunch from I don't know 2015 or something, and
Yeah.
I find myself like she'll be watching, I'll be reading, and I find myself like looking up and kind of following it for a while, and you bring what you bring isn't just the slasher and the horror.
Hmm.
You so many people mix different things with their horror, right? You got sci-fi horror and you got backwoods horror and you got whatever else. You kind of mix that element in and it's like
Yep.
I mean as a man like I don't feel qualified necessarily to make the statement so you can be like fuck you but I feel like you bring in like for lack of a better way to say it like a girl's life
Yes,
like
very much so, and I like embrace that
yeah
because
you
for so
should
many
because it's
years,
very unique.
because I'm into horror. It's there's a lot of stuff that's kind of guyish about a lot of the things that I like. But I'm not like that. I'm an extremely lazy girly girl. So I love stuff like glitter, and I love teen comedies and all that kind of thing, and movies like Jawbreaker, Heathers, Jennifer's Body, Mean Girls, uh Ginger Snaps. Those kind of movies have always
Hmm.
really resonated with me. So I love that, like, bubblegummy teen thing, and then making it into a slasher is just it's just my two favorite types of media, and slam them together. And I think a lot of people really like that.
Yeah, I think
And
so too.
it I they are very girly, but they're not tame.
No,
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 they're
they are
not.
not.
that's the
And
um that's the thing that we're trying to figure out how to convey, because it has a cotton candy skull on the cover. It is pink. It is about a bunch of girls, but a lot of men like my work too, because it is like an 80s, the murder part is like an 80s slasher. They're
Yeah.
very retro feeling. Um and it's all intentional. And when I first started writing, I think the first time I wrote Tastes Like Candy, when Tastes Like Candy had its original pass, I don't think I was thinking about it so consciously.
Hmm.
But after I did Taste Like Candy 3, I was like, all my killers are going to be female from here on out. I've never done a male killer before, but they're all going to be female. Um, I'm going to make them like I'm going to talk about nail polish and I'm going to talk about these things. I don't like relationshipy stuff, so I don't put a ton of that in there. I kind of leave that out because it's just
Mm-hmm.
when I was in high school, I wasn't concerned about any of that kind of thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
just pretend like that's how it is. Um, but it's been a more conscious decision to just make them more and more and more girly because I had it in my head, I think, for a very long time, because this is something that people talk about when they talk about women in horror. You say who's a great, what character, and people say Ripley, and there's nothing wrong with Ripley, but there's also nothing wrong with Nancy Thompson or Violet being, in my book, being a little,
Mm-hmm.
that's just how they are.
Right.
And I don't know, I don't think that it needs to be demonized just because it's not like hard badass, because there's nothing wrong with hard badass, but there's nothing wrong with being girly and feminine either.
Well, and that's that thing, like that horror. I think that's, well, I always think that kind of thing goes away, and then if you just look at the comments on like Bloody Disgusting or people's Instagram, you realize it hasn't. But that,
Mm-mm.
like, that need that people have, where if it's not hardcore horror, fuck this. It
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of like in the '80s being into metal and like reading metal magazines, and any band, there was a point like 1987, 88, where any band that used a keyboard, fucking posers, it's like, bro, no, what are you talking about? Like, it's fine, it's a keyboard. It doesn't mean that they're bringing Liberace in to write their next record. And it's that like unwavering, like it has to be exactly this stringently or fuck it. Then you know what? You're gonna live a sad life because there's so many colors of the rainbow, flavors of the Cocoa Puffs, or well, actually, Cocoa Puffs only have one flavor, but flavors of the Fruity Pebbles. I mean, why pick out only the green Fruity Pebbles and eat those? Why?
I love all kinds of horror. The slashers are clearly the ones that I'm drawn to the most, but like The Ring is one of my favorite movies ever, and that is not a slasher. Like
Right.
the whole genre, there was a long time there where I felt like I had to watch everything, and I don't have that. I made a rule that that's not the case anymore. But I've seen some stuff that I never would have watched just because I felt like I needed to, because it was what was popular with the community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that anymore.
Oh God, I
Right.
hope that doesn't include like.
Oh, it was. I haven't seen the worst of the worst of the worst because I
Okay.
can't do that. But there was a lot of rape revenge happening in the
Okay.
OOs
Oh,
specifically,
Yeah.
yeah.
and I
There,
watched a
there
lot.
was, but yeah, anytime I go through Prime Video, I'm always like, how many remake? Like, there's like I
A
Spit on
lot.
Your Grave remake, and then like 7 sequels. I'm like,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
Jeez.
I
yeah.
Spit on Your
No,
Grave again. Okay.
no. I don't even think I've seen the original. I Spit on Your Grave.
I've never seen that. And Last House on the Left. I can't do that shit. I just cannot. I just won't even go there. It just scares. I don't know. It's just too much. I just
Like, as
rewatched Taxi Driver, and I love that movie, but I realized I block out certain things, like that Jodie Foster is actually 12 in that movie, and that, like, yeah. Anyway.
but
Ugh.
as far as your books go, and you do, I don't usually respond to the super girly stuff. It's a
No, you do
testament
not. Yeah,
to
we've
your
had this conversation.
right. It is a testament to how good your writing is that I love it so much because I mean, you do a lot of the things that normally I don't respond to. And like an all female cast is not a sell for me. That usually means I can't connect, and I have no problem connecting to your stories.
Well, thank
The
you.
characters are always like they're they're deep. I want to know more about them.
Yeah.
They're funny, and whenever I read your books, I'm watching movies. They play on a giant drive-in screen in my mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just telling Ivy, I had to message her a couple days ago because my parents like thought they had to buy a new fridge, and so they were looking at fridges. And in this discussion about these
Yeah.
fridges that they looked at, in my head, I had this visual that I remembered from a movie that I saw like a couple months ago, and I was like, "What the fuck movie was that?" And it was this very strong visual of this refrigerator that changes different colors and kills somebody. I was like, "What the fuck movie was that?" And I realized it wasn't a movie; it was one of your books.
It was Tastes
And
Like
I had
Candy
to
too.
message. I
Tastes
had to
like
mess. And I realized I think I just called you Ivy, so there's going to be a learning curve.
we'll figure it out.
But like it was so fucking visual that I remembered it, I remembered my visual reading it as a scene from a movie.
Well, here's the thing. And this is something else that I've been struggling with because these books are technically YA. And they are being marketed as YA because they are YA. They're under the Sourcebooks Fire label imprint, which is they're YA. I don't know how many times I can say the words YA. But I write these for I'm a hardcore horror fan like y'all. I write these for hardcore horror fans. I don't write them specifically thinking I'm going to write this for teenage girls. So that's one of the things that I want people to kind of we're trying to sort of convey is that these are they're YA and they're girly, but I have a killer carrying a severed head skipping through a blood sprinkler. So
and it's fantastic.
The YA thing is a myth now because working at Borders, I remember watching the evolution of YA, and like I always go back to before I worked at Borders. So in the early 2000s, I fell in love with Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy, and when that came out originally, before it was in the States, my ex-wife ordered it from England because it wasn't published here yet. It did not say young adult on it anywhere. So when it was marketed here, it was made YA. And I remember telling people how good it was, and they'd be like, yeah, whatever, Harry Potter. I'm like, okay. So first of all, fuck you. And secondly, like those books are better written than almost any of the adult fantasy or science fiction I read that was being published at the same time.
I see people saying it about Clown in a Cornfield. I have not read it or seen the movie. Missy has read it, and y'all have both seen the movie. I don't know anything about it, and I don't know what the actual. But I was under the impression it's real horror. They just have a.
It is.
Neat. I've seen people say it negatively in a it's if you can handle YA, if you don't, it's YA, but
I always thought YA just meant that it wasn't full of sex.
No, that doesn't even mean that anymore.
There
because
is sex in YA.
So I was doing research when I was working on something back in LA with a friend, and I remember him telling me he read a bunch of YA books, like a wide spectrum, to kind of get a sense of what YA was. And he was telling his one book, he's like, if I counted the number of times the word cum was in this book, I would be a fucking millionaire. I'm like, what? So no, here's what YA means.
It's age. It's the age of the characters.
It's teenage cast. That's literally all of it. So technically, in those terms, even though, in the 80s, like teenagers were played by 40-year-olds in many cases, but technically, if Friday the 13th, the whole fucking series is YA essentially, right?
Exactly. All of them would be Nightmare on Elm Street. All those are
yeah, because they're all teenage casts.
Nightmare on Elm Street, absolutely. Absolutely.
They would be considered that. And I am proud to be, in that genre because that's my favorite thing in the world. Who doesn't want to watch a bunch of teenagers get cut up,
Yeah.
or read about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been incredible so far. And I'm just really looking forward to getting the book out so that people can see like this new thing that we've done. Because it's really, it's the same book, but it's not the same book at all. And I'm much happier with it.
Well,
it got a hell of an upgrade.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even I've read it twice previously, and then I read the new version, and I could just tell people if you already read the first version, buy the new version and read it because there's a lot more going on. I mean, it's still fundamentally the same book. Still is the best slasher kill ever.
Do you like it more now? Because it is different now.
It is, yeah, absolutely. I don't want to say too much, but there's something at the beginning that becomes. It's not a major through line, but the way you work it in, it's so, I don't know, it just really, and you've got a great opening kill. So yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very proud.
I think
everybody said the original started slow, so I decided to start it as quickly as possible.
I never thought it started slow.
I never thought it was slow.
I think that it's because I didn't think it was slow, but I think we're all used to horror movie pacing where you can go a little bit of time before you start because you got to set up the story. But
Right.
I guess possibly people who are only used to reading these things want it a lot faster. I have no idea.
Hmm.
But people wanted something faster. I gave them something faster. And I was really that was the originally the way that that person dies was originally the opening kill for Tastes Like Candy 3. So I had to come
Oh.
up, yeah. So I had to come up with something better for Tastes Like Candy 3, and I did.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, oh man, it's on. It's on.
Let's go. And if you don't want to buy another copy, request it at your library because you can do that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I spoke to a librarian today. She reached out to me. We were talking.
Oh, that's
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, she's read the originals and she was never because the way that Amazon does it, I would have to go to a lot of work basically to get them into libraries where they could order it. So I've never done it. But she was like, I know you're not in libraries. And I was like, wait a second, I will be. And she's like, I'm gonna go start looking for it right now. So
Nice.
gonna be in at
Nice.
least one.
Man, what a wonderful world.
It's pretty awesome. And I hope if and when people read the books, I hope they have fun. That's my
You're not
They
gonna
will.
nobody's gonna read
Yeah.
that book, any of your books, and not have fun. It's just it would not be
Yeah.
possible.
I'm not gonna be like they're scary and terrifying. They're fun.
They're fun.
They're
If
fun.
you have a dark sense of humor, you're going to enjoy it.
Exactly. And if you don't have a dark sense of humor, you might be scarred for life, but you also might learn a little something, you know. So
Exactly.
I feel like anybody listening to us probably has a dark sense of humor to begin
yes,
with.
exactly.
One would hope so. And
One
actually,
would hope so.
I got a segue into what we're doing. We're doing Hatchet 3 and Victor Crowley, and Missy and I both watched the Joe Bob Briggs version, and Adam Green, that is his name, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, Adam Green.
He was on and he was being interviewed and he said a couple of things. And since he's, the man, I have a quote from the movie sitting here, and it's raging sloppy garlic cunt. That's what we're dealing with Adam Green. He said a couple of things. He said something about if you're doing horror comedy, if you're going to have everybody be funny, the killer has to be like vicious and relentless and scary and like that. He's 100% right. And
Yeah.
Victor Crowley is horrifying.
Oh man, these I rewatched 2 on this past Sunday. I rewatched 2, and then I watched 3 and 4. And it was the first time I saw 3, and it was the second time I saw 4, but I didn't really remember it. I had seen the Joe Bob presentation like 5 years ago. These movies are just fucking nuts. They're such a riot. It's a push-pull with me. Like 2, I love so much that Tony Todd is a main character.
Yeah.
But man, nothing against Danielle Harris. She's just not the person for. I don't buy. So it's a push-pull with me with that movie. And in 3 with like Zach Galligan, I don't know where I had this in my head. I thought for some reason that 3 was going to be she was in prison and it was going to be like a siege horror movie where Victor Crowley came into town and like attacked the sheriff's station. And instead it's just like they're like, well, every movie is just like, let's go to the swamp and just up the bloodbath by like another 20 people.
I don't think they know or care to get him out of the swamp, which is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
The fourth one is just perfection on how they get them back there. It actually
well, and the
sense.
4th one then is the siege horror movie, basically with the airplane and whatever. But oh man,
3 it's kind of iffy on getting back in there. But we discussed that about Danielle Harris the last time when we were talking about 1 and 2, and I did not like the actress who played the character in the first movie. Largely because she had a really bad Southern accent and it was very irritating to listen to. So I thought Danielle was a perfect step up. Watching part 3, I see what you're talking about.
And I hate to say it because I like Danielle Harris, but I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work for me at all. So 4 is nice because, but here's the secret superhero of these movies, in my opinion, fucking Perry Shen.
Yep.
I love that he worked him.
So
Adam
funny.
Green worked him in all 3 movies in these man, I don't know. in the third movie, you're like, wait, he's back again as another brother, and it's like, no. But then they make the joke, oh yeah, we all look the same. I'm like, oh, I get it, I get it. Like that's so fucking funny. Oh man.
And then he's the star of part 4.
Yeah.
Because he was great. And then the girl that's the star of part 4, I was watching her and I could not remember where I knew her from, because I knew her from somewhere, and I thought she was funny. And it was have you ever watched the show Happy Endings?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
It's very funny. And it's very weird, very offbeat kind of funny. And she played a pop star that was kind of crashing out and having a nervous breakdown about her boyfriend. And she was very, very funny in that. It's always stuck with me because she's also got she got very distinctive eyes. Like she has really big, I don't want to call her bug-eyed because they're nice. I'm not saying it's ugly, but she has very large like features, and she's very fun to watch. So yeah, but I don't know. I barely remember part 3. I loved Victor Crowley so much.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good. Missy, talk about these in relation to the other ones, or just talk about them just in relation to being amazing.
It just makes me so happy to be able to share them with you guys because I adore these movies. I've been following them since they came out. And I mean, I love Adam Green and what he does. I think these movies are delightful. They were made for me. And I just listened to him in an interview on Joe Bob. And I mean, we already knew they were made for us, but Adam Green flat out said on the last drive-in that at the time, everything that was coming out was torture porn and stuff he didn't want to watch.
I wrote that quote down. I don't know where I put it. Do you have?
And he started making these. He thought that 3 was going to be the last one. This was in a different interview I heard. I've been listening to his podcast for quite a long time. So the Movie Crypt, him and Joe Lynch. So I probably heard it there. He was away from them for a while. He thought that Hatchet 3 was going to be the last one. And shortly before the late, great George Romero died, he met Adam Green, or Adam Green met him, or, they came into contact, and he told him he should keep making the Hatchet movies for the fans.
That's awesome.
Good.
And he came back to him. And Victor Crowley, I mean, I love all of them. My favorites are the first one and Victor Crowley.
Same.
Victor Crowley is total, it's total fan service. It's everything that if you loved the other ones, you'll love this one. It's turned up to 37. He still follows his no CG rule, which basically means everything is the blood, the prosthetics, the gore effects. It's all practical. They only use CG for to erase wires and fix camera issues. So they always feel like the 80s slashers that we grew up with, but they're super, Victor Crowley is super over the top.
Yeah.
It's still got all the horror icons that we love. Felissa Rose is a joy every time she's on screen, and she has one of the best deaths in the series.
Yeah.
I was laughing out loud at her repeatedly.
Yeah.
So funny in this. And I like Felissa, but I've never been oh, I love Felissa. Da, da, da. No, she's fantastic in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked her. I didn't really fall in love with her until we started, she's on the last.
She's the mangled dick expert on Joe Bob.
And that's how we all got attached to her. And I've seen her in more movies since, and now when we see her in movies, she's always a pleasure. She takes roles like this, and it's,
These movies feature a lot of horror industry actors. There's certain people that are horror industry people, and they don't get hired outside of the industry very often, but they get hired for everything within the industry. You see them over and over again. People like Felissa, people like Kane Hodder. Tony Todd was one of them. He was in there. He uses them so effectively.
Yeah, he really does.
And then he brings people back you haven't seen for a while,
exactly
in Hatchet 3. It's really fun to see Caroline Williams. She's Stretch from Texas Chainsaw 2.
Yeah.
Or Zach Galligan as the sheriff. He's Billy from Gremlins. I love seeing these people.
Mm-hmm.
We even get Tony Todd for a minute on the phone.
Yeah, very
He
briefly.
fucking summons Victor Crawley.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Part 3 has Sid Haig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, he's awesome in it too. Oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
I was like, could you even do this now? Like, oh my God, that scene is insane.
Insane.
I forgot. He's just such a
And
pleasure.
even when he's being like ridiculous, he's still kind of scary, Sid
Oh
Haig.
yeah, he definitely, yes,
Yes.
he is. He's got that. Oh man, yeah, absolutely. He's scary because there's like an element where like you want to let your guard down,
Mm-hmm.
but you know not to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Ugh.
Him and Bill Moseley in those movies are or in the Rob Zombie movies are terrifying. Both
Oh,
of them.
absolutely. But
Oh
Sid
yeah.
Haig has that thing in those movies. Like I've always said, House of Thousand Corpses, the opening is just like one of the best fucking openings because it
Yeah.
goes from him being kind of like a joke to him being like, oh, this guy's got some balls, to him being super fucking threatening to being terrifying, like in a very quick, succession. It's very good. And just, man,
And he's not even a villain in Hatchet 3 and he's unsettling to watch.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he just brings
He's
it. Like you,
always, it's his energy
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's his energy. It's totally his energy. Oh man.
or his presence, whatever. He always kind of has that where, I mean, I always love seeing him and stuff, and he always makes me uncomfortable.
It's interesting that Hatchet 3 is not directed by Adam Green. It's directed
Hmm.
by B.J. McDonnell, who is the camera operator on. I think it's 2 and 3. I'm not sure if it's 1, but so he's worked with him before,
Yeah.
and I don't know what like has
I,
anything you've heard talked about that.
yes. Yes. Hatchet 3 is the only one that Adam Green did not write and direct. He still wrote Hatchet 3, and he handpicked the director. They had worked together before. He was his cameraman, and he wanted to give somebody else a chance. I mean, they worked very close. From what I read, they worked very closely together, and Adam Green encouraged the community to, be accepting that he was choosing to do this. It's not because, the studio took it from him or anything like that. He was just giving, he likes to see up and comers get a chance and help them like people have helped him.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, everything I've read or heard, any interviews with him, or I mean, even his podcast. I love the movie Crift. I listen to it all the time. Him and Joe Lynch, like he's one of us. Like he seems like a very down to earth, straight up kind of person who
He
just
does. He seems
loves
like a
horror.
sweetheart.
He
Yeah.
does. He does. He said there were, I'm so mad I can't find my notes, but he said something along the lines of, why do you want to hurt your audience? Why don't you want to make them happy?
Right. Why don't you want to have fun?
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of feel. I don't want to watch something or read something that makes me feel bad afterwards. The real world
Yeah.
exists. There's escapism can be nice every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes I like to feel bad, not too bad, but like I'm watching the trailer, the new trailer for Eddington yesterday, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh
I
my
haven't
God.
seen it, but I
I
mean,
don't think
based
this
on
will
what
be
you
your
told me,
movie.
I'm out. Yeah,
Yeah, I
no
don't think
thanks.
this will be your movie.
Because you compared it to Civil War, which I did not have a good experience
Oh,
with at
Yeah,
all.
it seems like
Like,
it's one of those like let's go back and talk about 2020 and all the bad shit in it and put it on the
yeah,
screen,
no.
and um but I want to see it. And like Civil War was, where it was an extrapolation and fictional, it made me feel really bad and anxious because I was like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of where we're going.
Right. It's where I realize that while I love dystopian post-apocalyptic stories, I need I need some fantasy in it. I don't like to live in the real world. The
Yeah, right.
like I need that escape. It's how I function.
yeah.
I want stuff that I'm gonna have fun with. I can sit down and watch something serious if I'm in the mood for it, but
Well,
I
that's
mean,
not what we're talking about, though. Like, see,
right,
I know
I'd
you
much
can watch.
rather.
It's not necessarily serious, but like when you bring up dystopian, right? So here's the thing: in 2025, dystopian is after the world has moved on, in the parlance of the gunslinger, right?
Mhm.
And so
Right.
we're dealing with what is basically like the aftermath. And maybe 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, they could make movies that were about what happened to get there, and they didn't hit so close to home. But we're literally living in basically a post, in some elements, like
Mm-hmm.
a post-apocalyptic or an apocalyptic future. I don't mean the biblical apocalypse, but you know,
Yeah.
so
The world is burning.
the world is burning. So any movie, 20 years ago, you could do a world is burning movie and it didn't hit so close to home. Now you do any version of that and it hits close to home. So it's better to just, I mean, I think, Missy, you can go further and go, let's go after the burning. Let's go to the ash, right? But when you were in the
Mm-hmm.
burning, it's icky because like, oh yeah, I could just look out my window and see that shit. Like Civil War
Right.
or
Like
Eddington.
I don't want that. I want crazy Mad Max cars and mutant monsters and,
Yeah.
Right.
hell
Goofy.
came to Frogtown.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I want. And
Honestly,
thank you,
Civil
Adam
War.
Green, for giving us the Hatchet series. It is one of my, like, I love these. As far as the big ones go, I love the Fridays, but these are like right neck and neck for with them. I watch these a lot too. They make me happy. They're fun, they're consistent. I love I love Kane Hodder and the way that he plays Victor Crawley. He's scary and brutal, and yet he just pops out of everywhere and there
Oh.
are geysers of blood, and it's really amusing to me that these movies make me, and apparently you guys also, very happy, and yet they buckets and buckets of blood.
It was so funny because I don't know, where we were watching the three movies on Sunday. At some point, like Kirsten's mom comes out and sits down. And I think it was Victor Crowley. Oh, it was because of the guy from the Joker show. And she's like, oh, I know that guy, whatever. She sits down. I'm just waiting. And it was like kind of funny, whatever was happening. I don't know where we were in the movie. And then like we get to like the first death, and I don't know what it was, but it was so off the fucking charts. And she
Was
just
it
gets up and
Felissa?
leaves. I was like, mission accomplished. And but it's so funny because somebody like that age or from that like mindset would see this and think like, oh, this is so foul, but it's not. I don't know how to
It's
tell you.
not.
If two people could make a scene where somebody gets their fucking face sanded off with a fucking belt sander, and you could do it like a super disturbing style, or you could do it this style. And this is probably going to be bloodier and more insane than the super disturbing style. But
Mhm.
it's not, it doesn't bother me. It's fun. It's like, yeah, sand his
Well,
face off. That's cool.
this is exactly what I've said before in comparison with the Hatchet series and the Terrifiers.
Yeah. Oh,
Damien
it's
Oh,
Leone
definitely.
and
Yeah.
Adam Green run very similar formulas. The
yes.
stories are very different. The way they approach them are very different. But both of them are like tapping into the old horror shit that we loved. They're full of cameos with various different horror people. Now everybody is popping up in Terrifier movies.
Mhm.
It's all prosthetics and special or in practical effects and whatnot. And it's super over the top gory, but it's so gory it doesn't even look real anymore.
Yeah,
But
right.
Damien Leone leans into the mean, and we have Art the Clown, and Adam Green leans into the camp, and we get Victor Crowley. I like both. I love Victor Crowley more. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a flavor for everybody. These make me happy.
Yeah. Me too.
Every once in a while, whenever you watch as many of these types of movies as we do, a lot of them are very, very like exactly the same over and over and over and over and over again. It can be very easy to get formulaic with them, but every once in a while, you'll find something that was made 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago, and you get excited because it's like a brand new movie you've never seen before, and you just get that rush because you're like, yes,
Hmm.
this is a good one.
Mhm.
This is that movie. This is one of those movies for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
definitely. I loved Victor Crowley. I will be watching it again this weekend.
I watch these
Wow.
all the time. But I know the feeling. A few months ago, I discovered the movie Life, and it's like a very alien-esque monster movie. And I feel like I was high on this movie for like 3 days because I haven't had a good monster movie like that in forever.
It's a good feeling, and it's a feeling that people who aren't horror fans don't get.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're not going back. Like we go back. We go,
Yeah.
let's watch something from the 60s. Let's do this. Let's, there's all this
Right.
history, and people who are into horror, really into horror, seem to really be into the history of it and going backward. You don't see a lot of people whose knowledge of just horror films starts in like 2003. Like
Right.
those people don't exist, and if they do, they're not really understanding what they're consuming. And it's just a really neat thing that we get to have that people who are, only watching rom-coms don't really get.
Yeah. Well, there'd be no rom-coms. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. So if anybody listening can contest this, I doubt if you're listening you can, but you never know. I feel like rom-coms are kind of like, and I love AC/DC, but here's the thing with AC/DC, right? I love, I don't think I've ever heard an AC/DC song I don't like, but they're kind of all the same, right? So everybody's kind of got their AC/DC album. My AC/DC album is Highway to Hell. It's not that I don't like the other records. That's the one that's on my phone. It's always on my phone. If I want to hear AC/DC 9 times out of 10, that's what I play, right? Other people have Back in Black. I had this conversation with somebody like, mine's Back in Black, but I know exactly what you mean. Missy, I think yours is probably Maximum Overdrive soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is by far my favorite AC/DC album. I mean, I grew up loving them.
Yeah,
but,
and it's not anything
but that's the one I
against
play the
them,
most.
but it's just,
Is
you
the
know,
one
you get
that's
your
the
go-to.
soundtrack
And I
to-
feel like that's rom-coms. Like, why would you go back? I mean, is any rom-com, I mean, maybe there's some exceptions. There's something.
There are exceptions. I'm a huge fan of rom-coms. I don't like the ones that are just about relationships. But whenever you have something like Legally Blonde, that's a rom-com, but there's a hell of a lot more going on there.
Well, but that's more than when I think rom-com, I'm thinking of like, I don't know, fucking.
Right. But that's trash. So there's different layers of it, but it's just not the same. I just, I actually like, I do go back on rom-coms too. I like love stuff from the early 80s. I love stuff from the 70s. But like I said, I don't like just romance. So I'm looking at stuff like 9 to 5, which is a super fun movie if people have never seen it. It's very
I wouldn't even think of that as a rom-com.
Wait,
I mean, I guess
isn't that a musical with
it's
Dolly
like a light
Parton?
comedy. No, but she did the song for it. Basically, 3 working women in the early 80s kidnap their boss. And I think that they're going to try to kill him. I can't remember, but it's funny. So it's kind of
Jessica, this doesn't sound a fucking thing like a rom-com.
Right.
not a rom-com. What's First Wives Club? That's a rom-com.
You're asking the wrong two
You're
people.
asking the wrong people.
Y'all need to get some taste outside of horror because
I have plenty of taste outside of horror, but
me too. But they're not rom-coms. I mean, I like
rom-coms,
sci-fi
I think
and weird indies.
You're right, but I'm just saying,
I had a girlfriend in like
absolutely is though.
I had a girlfriend in the late 90s that would like. I remember one time I was like super sick, and she would like come over and bring me like chicken noodle soup, and then make me watch like, God, what's the one with like Andy Garcia where the wife is a closet alcoholic? I forget the name of it.
Oh my God!
Or like Sleepless in Seattle, or You've Got Mail. I mean, I was subjected to so many of these fucking movies. And it's the reason why like I drew the line because she would do it like. We might have even broken up over it, but like I would not go see Titanic. And to this, I said in a room full of people, I will go to my fucking grave without seeing this goddamn movie. And to this day, I won't see it. And I've had people that are like, like us, they're like, I'm like, I don't care. I made a fucking pledge. I'm not gonna see it. Anyway,
Sean,
yeah.
I did the same thing. I've never seen Titanic either, and I refuse to watch it. I feel like I've seen it because I feel like I've absorbed the entire thing through pop culture. Yeah. contrarian teenage girl when that came out, and everybody loved it, and I was like, no, ugh.
Fight the
And
power.
I wanted nothing to do with it, and I've maintained that since.
Good. Yeah, I'll go to my grave without seeing it. I mean, if either you are ever mad at me enough to kill me, don't kill me, drug me, tie me to a chair, tape my eyes open, make me watch that shit, and I'll just. Anyway, how did we get here? Oh yeah, so
I
Victor
have no
Crowley.
idea.
Victor Crowley would probably do that to somebody to hurt them. He would probably, well, no, he'd probably just tear your eyes out of your head and
That's more like
stuff
Art.
Right.
I think Art the
in your
Clown
ears.
that won't go that direction. Victor just tear your face off.
Dude,
Right. He just pulls limbs off, and they're all stretchy with just geysers of blood. And I feel like Hatchet 4, Victor Crowley, they're even more blood. There's even more blood spraying than before. Like they're more splattery, if that's even possible.
Yeah, right.
Except for the poor girl trapped in the plane that fucking drowns, and nobody even thought to get her a straw.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay, so Tiffany
I'm
Shepard.
sitting there going, "Give this bitch a straw."
I didn't even think of that. Kirsten said the same thing. She's like, "Why doesn't somebody just give her a straw?" I was like, "Oh my god." Well, I know who I want in my plane if I'm trapped, drowning, beneath the seats.
Right.
You know what's so interesting about that? Okay, so in number 3, picture the guy that's a cop that has the weird eye patch. Hamilton. So he's one of the cops that goes out. So there's like Perry Shen's character is like a first responder, and then Zach Galligan sends the cops out. So one of the cops has an eye patch, right?
Yeah. It's a weird eye patch.
It's a weird eye patch because it looks kind of small, and also the way it straps to his head. Kirsten kept saying, she's like, how the fuck would it stay on his head? Yeah. So I look him up. Jason Trost. He's a director that did this like really. There's a movie, it had a different name originally when I saw it, and it was really hard to track down. This is like, I don't even know when this was, like 2000s, called All Superheroes Must Die. James Remar's in it. It's like these 3 superheroes wake up in this like town, and this supervillain is basically like talking to him over an intercom, and he's like, I'm going to kill everybody in this town, and if you don't run, there's like a clock ticking or something. It's a really, it's not quite as great as I thought it was going to be reading the premise, but I kind of had to hunt for it. That was fun. He's the director of that fucking movie. I was like, wait, what? Oh, no. You know what? Actually, I didn't look him up. So I looked up Sean Whelan because I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And I look him up. I'm like, oh, it's from People Under the Stairs.
He's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's Roach.
He's Roach, right? So I look him up, and he's in All Superheroes Must Die. So I'm looking through that. I'm like, oh my god, it's the eye patch guy. What's the director of the movie? Anyway, whatever. But just such a good cast on all of these.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that just reminds me of the other night when Jess was watching Hatchet 3. She started messaging me, "Are those tattoos real?" on Danielle Harris. And they are.
There is a shot of Danielle Harris in the shower, and they have like
that. She's really heavily. That's her stuff.
It almost reminded me of bodybuilding poses. Like she's like you can't really see any of the parts.
Well, they're hosing her down, right?
Yeah,
the cops are hosing her down.
And she has a massive tattoo down her side, and I was like, "Is that real?" And it is.
I knew it was real just because there was no way they were going to spend the time to put that on her just for that scene because it's so short, So I was like, wow, that's some ink, man. Holy cow.
It's great.
That is all real ink. I told her, wait, let me get there. I know she has a lot of ink though. And then as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's real. She has more now.
Really? Well, I guess that's true. Once you get
she's
started,
got,
you don't stop.
In the movie, she's got one of this lady like down her rib cage, but now it goes into like a big pretty floral piece on her thigh too.
Cool.
It's really gorgeous ink. And I always noticed as somebody who loves tattoos and has a lot of them, I always pay attention to ink. It always draws my eye.
I'm Googling it. I want to see.
One of the things that I really like about these movies, and we kind of touched on this, but it's like not just the cast, but it's the progression and the fact that like the first three are basically one night or like one night
Well,
and
it's
one
a
day or
couple
whatever.
nights.
Well,
If you watched the first three in succession, it's like three or 4 days.
but it's like there is no like it's 3 or 4 days, but there's no like lapse, right?
There's
So there's no
yeah,
like
there's no break.
exactly.
It's
So
like a
it's
steady 3 or 4 days.
one chain of events, right? That
Yeah,
just goes on. Um,
yeah. If you watch the three movies together, it's one big movie.
yeah, exactly,
And then
And
Victor Crawley jumps us 10 years.
and I love the fact that like you get Tony Todd in the first movie, and it's kind of like a tease, and then they bring him back, and he's such an integral part. Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
like I just love not just him and his role. Like I love the way his part's written and
Mm-hmm.
what it means to the overall story. Just it's so they're so fucking well done, and even Danielle Harris's character, like I like her arc. I like the way you get you most movies you if you get like I mean Robert Englund's in 1,000 fucking movies, right? At least. And it's like if you get a cameo by Robert Englund at the beginning of your movie, it doesn't mean anything. But even though he's only in the beginning of the first movie, he is integral. His character like basically informs every single event in the entire series, right? Because he's
Right.
he
He's her
sets it
father.
off. Yeah. Um, so just stuff like that. Like I just feel like they're so well constructed.
They are. And I mean, I think that's one of the reasons it works so well as a series. They're consistent. They've all been written by the same person.
Yeah.
I mean, the slasher has been played by Kane Hodder from beginning to end. So I mean, everything, all the pieces fit for the most part, except for the cast change with Mary Beth Dunstan. But I still like Danielle better, and I still think it works with his tongue in cheek horror because it's been done in movies before.
Hmm.
I mean, every so often you just get a new person.
Yeah.
I still prefer Danielle, even though
Yeah, I prefer Danielle,
I just can't.
but I mean,
I can't handle a bad Southern accent. I can't.
I
Not like that.
mean, in the Fridays, Tommy was played by 3 different guys.
Okay, well, I have
Yeah, but
feelings about that.
there's an age. Well, there's an
Eh,
age thing that factors
Not
in.
from
Although,
5 to 6. They just switch
yeah, that's
people.
true. That's a
Yeah.
good point. That's a good point. But also, those movies are so the thing with the Hatchets, because they're consistent, because the same person wrote them all and directed 3 of the 4. They're like you said, they're consistent, and that's why they have an advantage over Friday the 13th. Because
Mhm.
Friday the 13th,
Is very
it's just
disjointed.
all over the fucking place. So it also fits that I mean, it's almost like, oh, why don't we cast like an old black man to play Tommy for number 5? Like you could almost see
Right.
that having happened, right? Like there's just moments in Friday the 13th where you're like, really? Like, was there nobody like overseeing this that was attached from the beginning?
I read a fan theory that makes the whole series make sense. You know how several of them start around a campfire telling a story? If
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
you pretend like each individual one is just a different group of people telling a different story about Jason, it makes a lot of more sense because then
Yeah.
it's like this group had this story about Jason, and the next people they tried to one up them with this story. And then by, at some point, some idiot around the campfire is saying Jason's in space. Like,
Right.
it's if you
Yeah.
want to try to make it make sense, that's the best way to do it, I think. Otherwise, there's no continuity in those movies whatsoever.
No, but I
Yeah.
still love them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They just make me happy.
I
But
love a couple of them.
but these are consistent, and they're all, I mean, I think they're all good. Even part 3 which is a little weaker than the others. If you like these type of movies, you're gonna enjoy all 4 of them, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And you know, I love that they all end like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
Something.
they
I love
just,
that too. They're all very abrupt. They just stop.
and then the next one literally will just pick up right. Like I just love that. Very, very cool, man.
And the last one ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Because I'm assuming there'll be another one at some point. I
I
can't
hope
imagine
so.
there wouldn't be. I
I
mean, it's
was
almost been 10 years, but then again, it was 10 years between.
I was looking, and he's talked about it in very
Hmm.
years that he's, things are coming together or whatever. I don't know. I'd really, really, really like to see it. I'd really, really like to see it in theaters. I'd hope they
Yeah,
can
Yeah.
pull that off,
I would
especially now.
love
That was something
for.
else he talked about. That was something else he talked about on Joe Bob. He talked about dealing with the ratings board
Oh
for
yeah, he's been
all of
fucked
them.
by the ratings board
And
many times.
he talked about part two, AMC putting it in theaters unrated, and then it was in theaters for one night, and then they yanked it because it made too big of a splash for being unrated. That wouldn't happen now. Terrifier made a hundred
Yeah.
three made $100 million
Right.
unrated. That would never that would like they would I would think that if they could get funding for Hatchet, it could be something that could go into theaters again.
I think it would now.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
interesting that nobody's approached him because I'm thinking of like, I don't know if you remember, like when the first Deadpool movie came out, I didn't see it when it came out, but when it came out, I remember literally like, if it came out on like a Friday, right? Monday, it was like the next week on some day we were doing this is back when I would do Drinking with Comics live at the comic shop in Manhattan Beach. And I remember friends that saw Deadpool were like, dude, I saw Deadpool Friday, and like Monday morning, they announced all these R-rated, like R-rated Hellboy coming, R-rated Spawn, R-rated, because everybody saw what Deadpool did as an R-rated comic book movie that was like totally over the top, and just studios went out and said, what property can we get? Boom, 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 let's do it, right? So I'm surprised that that didn't happen here, where you'd think people would be like, how do we source the next Terrifier? I mean, put this shit in the theater right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I yeah, I tell friends who love Terrifier to watch these all the time.
Do you ever get anybody come back and give you like feedback?
Yeah, I mean I've turned quite a few people onto them.
And they
I
all like
haven't
them,
had
right?
and yeah, I haven't had anybody that I've recommended them to be like, "Oh no, these suck." I mean, I know who I'm referring them to. I play
Yeah,
to my
right, right,
audience.
right.
You know. Yeah.
You got to start
And
recommending them to people that like rom-coms.
I'm very careful with how I recommend stuff to people. I'm afraid I won't I'm not one of those people that's like, "Oh, it's not that scary," just to mess with people. I don't do that. I don't think that's funny.
I don't do that either, but I also sometimes don't realize I would recommend I used to lend House of a Thousand Corpses to people all the time. And I never thought about how disturbing that movie is until within the last couple of years because it
Mhm.
was just it's so day glow
Mhm.
Halloween crazy Rob Zombie, right? And then, like at some point I was watching it like
That
I don't know
movie's
5
very
years ago,
divisive. Like
and
people
I
either love it
and
or hate it.
it's funny because I can think of like two particular cases of lending it to younger people at work. And two cases where like it would take a while to get it back, and like really wouldn't be a conversation afterwards. And I re
Because they hated
and
it.
I or they were just really fucking disturbed by it. And within the last 5 years, I watched it one time and I was like, my God, like I don't know, it was like I was seeing it for the first time for some reason. It was like I was seeing it from a non-fan perspective or something, and I was like, this movie is actually really, 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 really fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's uber fucked up and bleak. It's got a super bleak ending.
I never ever thought of it that way because it's just Rob Zombie crazy,
Right, because
whatever.
we see it as like neon Texas Chainsaw. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me either. I watch it almost every October. I think it's fun.
yeah.
But that's a more of a hardcore horror fan movie, I think.
That's
Like
so
it's not
weird to me.
casual.
That's
Yes.
so weird to me. I know that now, but I guess the damage is done because I don't have anybody to lend it to, and I wouldn't, but you know.
I would think the name is enough to turn people off if they're not interested in it, but you
Right. but you never know.
The funny thing is, I think I would have not recommended Devil's Rejects simply because it's a completely different kind of movie,
Correct.
and
Yeah, I don't like that one.
I love it, but for completely different reasons, you know.
I used to like it, then I rewatched it, and I don't like it anymore. But I still love House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, I love House of a Thousand Corpses. I don't much care for Devil's Rejects.
That Devil's Rejects actually makes me like Freebird. That's
Fucking hate that song
crazy.
at this point.
That's crazy to me that I actually and he uses the whole fucking song, right? Which is like one of the most gratuitous,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it works.
Yeah,
I don't know.
gratuitous Freebird foo.
Yeah, absolutely Freebird foo. Well, Hatchet. So what are we doing next? Ivy,
I
you
am
pick
so
it
excited.
and if what I heard is correct, I'm super excited.
Am I saying right now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
say
ahead.
it.
Hit
The
us.
prom night series, all four of them.
I didn't even know there were four.
I
I'm
did not
very
either.
familiar with the first two.
Yes, two is a
I
masterpiece.
I didn't know about the other two.
Um, two and three, I think, are the closest thing we have to a female Freddy Krueger. And
Really?
ghost,
Okay.
yes. If you pay attention, those part two is absolutely a ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah.
100%. And Mary Lou isn't obviously as iconic or anything, but I think that's what they were going for. I think they were
They were
going,
going for it, yeah. And it is iconic in some circles for sure.
and part three is definitely the Freddy's Dead of the series, if you put it that way.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very cartoony. It's extremely cartoony.
Okay.
She doesn't use a Nintendo Power Glove at some point, does she?
She manifests an ice cream cart out of nowhere and murders someone with it.
Well, that has potential. Okay. Okay. We'll see. It'll be how they pull it off. But I didn't know there were four. I didn't know there were three, let alone four. So I'm really looking forward to this. So we will bring Slasher Party back soon and do prop. Should we? I guess we'll do. Should we do one and two and then three and
Yeah.
four?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God,
for
you don't want to do an entire episode just on three.
I don't know. Well,
well, and for the Joe Bob fans, Prom Night 2 is still up with Joe Bob.
nice. That's a good
Hello,
episode.
Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. And if you were trying to watch Victor Crawley with Joe Bob and watch the interviews that me and Ivy saw with Kane Hodder and Adam Green, you can watch that, but it's on the Just Joe Bob. So you'd have to go into, they're on either Shudder or AMC Plus. It's season 7, episode 20. It gives you the timestamps.
Yeah,
So
so you
you could
watch
watch
the movie, pause it at the correct timestamp, and
right. I usually
100% worth it.
recommend using the easiest way to do it is to use a second device. I do it all
you
the
couldn't
time.
use just one. It
Yeah,
would be
you put the
impossible.
movie on the TV and then use your phone, your laptop, your tablet, whatever for Joe Bob, and you can pop in and do it that way.
Excuse me, my dumbass was gonna do it on one screen until you.
No,
Oh,
that would
man.
be awful. But I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh, the Just Joe Bobs are annoying. And once you get a rhythm for it, look, I do it all the time. It's fine. I if I have the opportunity to watch something with Joe Bob, I will usually take the Joe Bob option because it's more fun.
And
Right.
this one in particular is fantastic because it has the entire cast, like pretty much the whole cast comes out. And
Yeah, it's great. And last, I just want to say, thank you, Adam Green, for understanding what it is we love about horror movies and making movies for us, the mutants. And if you're out there listening and you haven't seen Frozen from 2010
Oh.
or Digging Up the Marrow, they're not like the Hatchets. They're not funny. They're serious movies. Well, Frozen's very serious. Digging Up the Marrow is very weird. But there are other Adam Green movies, and they're also very, very good. And Adam, if you're listening, we want Hatchet 5.
Yeah.
I bet he does
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
I bet he does.
So that's Slasher Party. And Jessica, congratulations. Our condolences for Ivy, but hey,
We will see Ivy again. She's leaving our world and moving to Beldam. So yes, she'll be back. But yeah, no, but thank you guys for having me. And thank you, Missy, for peer pressuring me into watching these movies, because I never would have done it, and I loved it.
Fuck
I'm
yeah. Peer
glad.
pressure is a good thing. It is. I mean, sometimes. You know, don't smoke bath salts if your buddy Bob tells you to, but if your buddy Missy tells you to watch Hatchet, it's good. It's good. Bath salt's bad. Hatchet, good.
Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no sleep work along with several never-before-published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.